Hey, hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, do not forget to like, subscribe and share. So today's video I am going to explain leetcode problem 560, which is subarray sum equals k. So what do you mean by subarray? If you take this simple array example, you can able to say this is also subarray, this is also subarray, this is also subarray, and eventually this is also subarray and this is also subarray, and entire array also a subarray. Okay, let me explain the problem statement. If you take this example array, they ask you to give sum equals to k, right? So if you if I write this array like 1 comma 1 comma 1, how many of them are giving sum 2? If you take this 2 element, it's giving 2 as in sum, right? 1 plus 1 is giving 2, and eventually we take this 2 element, they also giving the sum as 2. So 1 plus 1 equals to 2. Rather than these two elements, any of them are giving sum equals to 2? No, right? So this count as 1 and this count as 2. So you want to return that count. How many of them are giving sum equals to k? I am going to use prefix sum with hashing algorithm for solving this problem. What do you mean by prefix sum? I will explain this using this diagram. I will take this example array. Okay. Let me write it here like 3, 1, 2, and 4. So up to some at some condition the prefix sum is x, I can take like that. So here prefix sum x equals to the sum I take like 3 plus 1, 4, 4 plus 2, which is 6. So the prefix sum up to here is 6. You want to find out the k. So here 1 plus 2 will become the k, right? So this is k. How do you going to find out this? Just subtracting with the prefix sum. So x minus k you are going to take. So x is 6 minus the whatever the k is there, it is 3. So it gives 3 itself. So this is what the prefix sum generally mean. If you take this example also, so same thing prefix also refers to. So if I take 1, 2, 3, I will take entire array as a prefix sum. So until this is a prefix sum. Let me count like 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 3 is 6. So the prefix sum is 6 here. If I want to find out the k, can I say it is a k? So what this sum will be? The sum will be the x minus k. So here, what is the x? X is an 6 minus k. What is the k? 3. So the sum of the two element up to here, the sum of this part will be 3, right? So this is what the prefix sum means. I will use this prefix sum to solving the problem, so I can able to use the hash map efficiently. Okay, I will recap prefix sum here so that you can able to understand better while solving the problem. So if you take particular indexes array, which is prefix sum is x, if you find out some k, so that this part will be x minus 1. So this is some reverse engineering, you can also able to say like that. Using this x minus k, I am going to solve this problem. I am going to use prefix sum with the hashing algorithm. I'm going to use a hash map for storing prefix and count. So this is count is different and this is count is different because this is count what I taken in a variable. So this count just storing for hash map. Okay, do not confuse with the names. So the hash map is used for storing the key value pair. So it stores the element in a key value pair. Okay, So I'm storing a prefix as a key and the count is stored as a value. So prefix sum is initially I'm going to put hash map into the 0, 1. So why I will tell you in this example. So as per now, just remember the hash map first initialized to 0, 1. So prefix is 0 and the count is 1. So this prefix I am going to take. Initially the prefix sum and the count is 0, 0. So I am going to iterate through the element and using this diagram I am going to solve the problem. So first the element is 0, 1. So the prefix sum will be 0 plus 1 equals to 1. So here the x will be 1 now. So the k is what the given in the question is 2. So x minus k, 1 minus 2, it is going to be minus 1. So we want to check whether the x minus k is in the hash map. Okay. So x minus k is now minus 1. We will check whether the minus 1 is in the hash map. So minus 1 is not in the hash map. So do not worry about that. Just put the prefix sum and update the hash map and go to the next element. Okay. Next, the prefix sum will be 1 plus 1 equals to 2. Now the prefix sum changed to 2 and k is as per now constant 2. So x is changed to 2. So 2 minus 2 it becomes 0. Now we will check whether the 0 is in the hash map. So the 0 prefix is in the hash map. So just we want to make the counter updation and it will become 1. Well, what is the count? We're going to update here. Okay. Now the count is 1. So next we are going to check for the next element, and then also we want to update the match map because prefix sum is different, right? So the 2 is different number. So 2 comma 1 it going to update. Then you are going to checking for the next element which is 1. So 2 plus 1 it becomes 3. So here also change it to 3. So 2 is as per now constant. So 3 minus 1 it became 1. So we will check whether 1 is in the hash map. Yeah, 1 is in the hash map. Then you're going to make the counter updation. How many counter is there? Only 1. So update that plus 1. So count will be become 2. So this is the end of the loop. At the end you will get the counter as a 2. You're going to return that in a output. So this is how you're going to solve this problem. I will take one more example to solve this. I am going to solve this second example so that you can able to get why you should 0 comma 1 you should be initialized at first. So I am not taking 0 comma 1 at the beginning so that you can able to understand why should we want to initialize 0 comma 1 at the beginning. So initially the prefix sum is 0 and the count also 0. I am going to iterate through the array. So starting 3 is there. So you should add to the prefix sum. So 3 which will be becoming 3. So 0 plus 3 is 3. So update prefix sum as a 3. Then you're going to initialize k which is 3. So here 3 minus 3. What will be the answer? So 0, right? So you're going to check whether here you're going to check for the x minus k, right? So now the x minus k is 0. You're going to check whether x minus 0 is in the hash map. No. So you're going to the next element, just updating the prefix sum which is 3. So now the hash map will store the prefix sum 3 and the count as 1. So you're going to the next element. So next element is minus 3. So minus 3, what will be the answer? 0. So prefix sum change it to 0. Now you're going to initialize x as a 0. So 0 minus 3 will be minus 3. So minus 3, we will check minus 3 is in the hash map. So minus 3 is not in the hash map. Just you're going to store the prefix sum 0 comma 1. Then you're going to the next element which is 1. Adding 1 You also change it as 1. So here the x is 1. So k is 3. So 1 minus 3 will be minus 2. So you're going to check whether minus 2 is in the hash map. So it is not in the hash map. Just update the prefix sum, which is 1. So 1 comma 1. Then you're moving to the next element, which is 1. So it's become 1 already is there. So 1 plus 1, it will become 2. So here your prefix sum changed to 2. Then you're going to check for 2 minus 3. So 2 minus 3 will be minus 1. So you're going to check whether minus 1 in the hash map. So minus 1 is not in the hash map. Then you're going to update the prefix sum in the to the hash map and moving to the next element. So next element is 1. So 2 plus 1 will be 3. So now the prefix sum will be 3. So here 3 minus 3 is equals to 0. So then you're going to check for this prefix sum in this. So 0 is in the hash map. Yeah, is it there? So then you're going to make the counter updation as 1. And you're going to move the pointer to next element, which is end of the loop. So you will see the difference. So the count is now 1. So this is the answer we want? No, right? So this is completely wrong answer what we accepted. So we going to initialize 0 comma 1 first, then we will iterate. So first I am going to initialize my hash map to the 0 comma 1 so that you can able to get the difference. Why should we want to initialize 0 comma 1 at the beginning? So the prefix sum will be 0 and the count also will be 0. So I'm going to iterate through the array. I'm going to use this prefix sum diagram for solving the problem. So let's get started. So the 3 will be added to the prefix sum. So now the prefix sum is 3. So x is now 3. So the k is as given in the questions 3. So k is 3. So now the prefix sum is 3. X minus the k is 3. So 0 will be my x minus k. You are going to search in x minus k whether is in the hash map. Then you're going to update. If it is not in the hash map, so no updation. The counter will be. So now the prefix sum is 0. So it is in the hash map. Then you going to update count as 1. So if you see the difference, in later previous question, I did not get the 0 in the hash map, so that I moved, I just put the prefix sum and moved to the next element. So this is what happens here. If you take k is given 3, so this is also subarray. You should count this also, right? But previously the 0 comma 1 was not initialized, so that it ignored and get the answer as wrong. So next I'm going to the update the prefix sum in the hash map. Okay, 3 comma 1. Then I'm going to the next element, which is minus 3. Now the prefix sum is 0. Okay, so x is 0. 0 minus whatever the k is there, which will be minus 3. We will check whether minus 3 is in the hash map. So if it is not in the hash map, do not update the counter, just put the prefix sum, which is 0. So here we would not take 0 comma 1 again because 0 is already in the hash map. Just you update the counter, which I will be explaining the code itself. So you want to update the whatever exists in the hash map, you're going to update plus 1. So now the updation 0 comma 2 will be is in the hash map. Okay, then you're going to the next element, which is 1. So the prefix sum will be 1. So you're going to calculate here x minus k. 1 minus 3 will be minus 2. So we will check whether minus 2 is in the hash map. So minus 2 is not in the hash map. You're going to update the hash map with the prefix sum count 1. So next you're going to the next element, which is 1 again. So you're going to add it in a prefix sum, which will become 2. So now the prefix sum will be 2. So 2 minus 3 will be minus 1. You're going to check in a hash map whether minus 1 is in the hash map. So minus 1 is not in the hash map. So then you're going to update the prefix sum, which is 2 comma 1. Then you're going to move the pointer to the next element, which is 1. So add to the prefix sum, which will become 3. Okay. Now the prefix sum will be 3. So 3 minus 3 will be 0. I will check whether 0 is in the hash map. So yeah, 0 is in the hash map. Then you're going to update the count. Whatever here the count will be, you're going to add that in a count, which 1 plus 2 will be 3. Then the pointer should be moved to the next, which it is out of the bound. So it will end the loop here. Then you're going to return the counter to the output console, which is same as accepted. So this is how you're going to solve this problem. Let's see one more example and try to implement that. Let's solve one more example so that you can able to get better. So first initialize the hash map to the 0 comma 1. It's an important step, note that. And prefix sum is 0, count also 0. So next you're going to iterate through the array, which is 3. You're going to add it in a prefix sum. It became 0 plus 3, which will become 3. So the prefix sum is now 3. So k is as mentioned in the questions 3. So here 3 minus 3. What will be the x minus k? It will be the 0. So here as I said x minus k, you're going to check in a hash map. So the x minus k is 0. So 0 is in the hash map. Yeah, it is. So you're going to update the count as 1. So now the counter will be 1. Then you're going to move the pointer. Before moving the pointer, you're going to update the table, which is prefix sum 3 and 1. Then you're going to move the pointer to next element, which is 1. You add it in a prefix sum. It will be 4. So you're going to update the x as 4. So here 4 minus 3 will be 1. So you're going to check whether 1 is in the hash map. So it's not there in the one hash map. So you're going to update the prefix sum 4 comma 1 is in the hash map. Okay. Then you're going to move the pointer to next element, which is 2. So 4 plus 2 will be 6. Okay. So the x will be 6 now. So x minus k, 6 minus 3 will be 3. So you're going to check whether 3 is in the hash map. So yeah, it is in the hash map. You're going to update this counter to this counter, which will be 2. Then you're going to update the prefix sum 6 comma 1 in the hash map. Then you're going to move the pointer to next element, which is 4. So 6 plus 4 will be 10. So the x is 10 now. So 10 minus 3 will be 7. So you're going to check whether 7 is in the hash map. So there is no 7 in the hash map. Just you want to update the prefix sum. Then you're going to check for next element, which is end of the loop. At the end, you will get the answer as 2. You're going to return that counter to the output. That is the answer we want. So let's code it in a leetcode. I am in the leetcode problem 560 subarray sum equals to k. So given an array of integers nums and integer k, return the total number of subarrays whose sum equals to k. So a subarray is a continuous non-empty sequences of elements within an array. So this is what I explained in the video. So let's code this up. So I'm going to take count, which I am going to initialize to 0. Then I am going to take prefix sum. Then I am going to initialize that to 0. We want to take map, right? So I am going to take map. So it is stored in a key value pair. So integer comma integer. So I will name it as MPP. So yeah, this is variable. I'm going to take MPP as a variable. So hash map. This is the initialization of the hash map. Then I am going to put hash map. This put function will add the 0, 1 to the map. So I am going to iterate over the array using an for each loop. So for each loop look like it is variable colon whatever the array you want to pass it like this. Okay, then you going to add prefix sum, right? Num will take one element and add it in a prefix sum. Okay, then I'm going to check in a hash map. I will check in a hash map whether that contains key prefix sum minus that k. If it is contains key like that, then you're going to make the count as count updations. So you want to take that particular map but count, right? Prefix sum minus k. This get function will get the value of the prefix sum or prefix sum minus k. Then it will going to update in a count. Okay. At the end, if map is not updated, you want to make updation, right? mpp dot put function I'm going to use. So that prefix sum comma. So I'm going to use mpp dot get or default. Make it as default sum. Sorry, prefix sum comma 0. If it is not in the hash map, it's going to the default. If it is in the hash map, it is going to get that and prefix, and then I'm going to add +1 for that. If it is not in the hash map, it's going to default as 0. If it is new, then at the count it became 1. So at the end, you're going to return the count. Then you're going to get the answer. Let's run this up. Yeah, it's working. Let's sum it up. Yeah. If you understand this problem, do not forget to like, subscribe and share.